What up guys, your boy Kothis, and we're back with yet another one. Now today I'm going over what my version of an Inferno build is, and I absolutely love it. Now I originally intended this to be a strength and Inferno mix, but I couldn't find many weapons in this game that do very well with that kind of setup, so I kind of scrapped the idea of the strength and went full on Inferno, and honestly I could not have been happier. The weapon we are using is one of the meta weapons of the game. If you don't know what this weapon is, I would be highly surprised because everyone should know what this weapon is. If you've played the game at all, you know exactly what it is. But let's not talk about that. We're talking about the overall build. What this build is focused around is Diablo Barbarians. Now, if you've never played a Diablo game, I can completely understand that, but Barbarian's my favorite class and has been since Diablo 2, and I was looking at making a build just like that. Now, the Barbarian will do shouts and or buff itself multiple times before going into battle, and that's what we're doing with this build. This is a shout build to be able to buff yourself so you have max defense, max stamina, and max overall damage, just to come in, poise tank through enemies, and do massive bursty heavy damage attacks. I thoroughly enjoyed this build. It helped me a lot on my 4th playthrough, and I will definitely come back to this build for New Game Plus. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. And before you start this build, you're going to want to choose between 1 to 2 classes. Now, the first class is the Pirate Cultist, just because it has 18 in Inferno, and you start off with a Catalyst and a spell. The other one is the Lord class, and I highly suggest the Lord class if you haven't unlocked, just because you already start with 2 of the buffs that we need to make this build. You start with 2 rings, and you have a lot of stats right out the gate, not to mention that you're wearing pretty tanky armor. So if you have this one, go for it. If you don't have it, that's fine. You can run either or. All right, guys, and getting into the build, we are running Fallen Lord Sword, which is absolutely a meta weapon for Inferno build, especially if you're looking for like hitting really hard or going kind of like a strength version of Inferno. This is the weapon to go for. You get this in Lower Calrath. I'm sure many people have made a video on where to get this, so I'm not going to do that. As far as Catalyst, I am running Rogar Heart. Now, I didn't start running that until like much later. I was able to get it as a drop from my brother, so thank you for that because I was able to get it early. Honestly, I would run Syrian Accusation. You can get this pretty early. Now, if you start with the Pyro, you can run this for a bit, or if you started with the Lord class like what I did, what I showed in the beginning, the Lord class starts with this, which is also really strong, but as soon as you get the Skyrest, you can get the Syrian Accusation. Now you can choose to give this to somebody to start a quest line, the prisoner, and she will hold on to it until mid-game, until you fight the giant. So it's up to you if you want to give it to her or not, but if you do give it to her, you can unlock a lot of other spells and burn through her quest line. As far as in-game, Rogar Heart's the way to go, and if you don't want to run that, then I would highly suggest Queen Saphicia's Catalyst. I think I said that right, but you do that from doing the prisoner quest line, so there's a lot to go over with that. If you don't end up doing that quest line, don't worry about it because it's not that difficult, but it is kind of annoying. Just stay with Rogar Heart, and you get that pretty much at the end of the game. As far as spells, Seismic Slam, that's a no-brainer. This is going to get nerfed 1000%, but we barely use this. I was just using it a little bit in some of the footage just to showcase that you can have range with this build because we are a big tanky boy, and we're just trying to chase things down, so that's not bad to have. Also, I see a lot of you all using this in PvP, and I'm here to tell you, you're using it wrong. You need to use this as a wake up or a punish. If you don't know what that is, then obviously you don't do a lot of PvP, but if someone stands away from you to be able to heal, you punish them with this. If you knock someone on the ground and they get up and they try to like panic roll away, you punish them with this. You don't open with this attack. So many people have opened with this attack on me. I'm just like, what are you doing? I can just dodge that. So stop doing that. If you're one of those people that just constantly spams this, you're bad. Stop doing that. As far as the rest of the spells, we're doing Adyr's Rage. Now this buffs our overall physical damage and our fire damage by 10% each. So that's a lot of damage coming out there, and you're mixing that with Inferno Weapon, which obviously gives us a fire damage buff, which is huge. And then we have Adyr's Endurance, which allows us to have 300% more stamina regen, which is really good on this build, so we don't have to worry about getting rings or anything like that. And then of course we have Adyr's Hardiness, which allows us to have 25% buff to our resistances. So that means we take 25% less damage, which is really nice to have. Now all of these last for I think 90 seconds a piece. The Inferno Weapon may last a little bit longer, but I feel like they all have around the same time limit. So just 90 seconds, and that's good. And you can pretty much dunk on a boss in 90 seconds with this build, so you don't have to worry about it too much. As far as armor, I just chose armor that I feel like look like barbarian armor, so choose what you want, but I would highly suggest running as heavy as you can because you want to be able to have the damage mitigation and you want to be able to poise tank through many attacks while you charge up your heavy attack. As far as pendant, I'm running Rogar's Delight. Now you also also get this from a quest line for the prisoner, so you may want to do the prisoner quest line. I feel like this is a really solid one, but just because it increases our fire damage and fire defense. I also ran the cavalry pendant just because we are buffing a lot. In early game, I was, running out of mana until I started to get my Inferno up to 75. So this helps with the cost of the shouts or the buffs if you want. It's not that great, doesn't give you more damage, but it allows you to buff more. So I don't know, it's kind of up to you. And then I also ran this, which allows us to deal additional damage to burning enemies. And since we have Infernal Weapon, we are putting burn on enemies. So you can possibly get a lot of damage out of this, but I always end up going for the Rogar Delight. I feel like it works better with what I'm doing, but you can run either or. And then we're running the Adyr Kamar. I don't know how to say that, but this just allows us to do more damage from two-handing, and you get that from Damaros or Damoris, however you say her name, the one I talked about in the last video. And then of course Ring of Nightfire. This allows us to do extra fire damage and wither damage. Other rings I would suggest is maybe running Wildfire Ring. If you ignite an enemy or whatever, they also become burned, so that's pretty good because we are running a weapon that does a lot of ignite, so it just puts a burn dot on them. Also, you can run the Ring of Infernal Devotion, which, inflicting burn buildup simultaneously inflicts ignite buildup. It doesn't work so well with this build, but you can make it work. If you're gonna run this, I would switch to this. Yeah, there you go. So that would be an alternate ring slotting right there if you want. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even run this with this build. I would just stick with the two-handed damage. And looking at my stats, do not copy and paste what I have. For some reason, when I was playing with my brother, I went to min-max my character. So I did a rebirth or re-rolled my stats, and I went from a 98 to a 174, I think. So we're sitting at a 179 right now. I had to re-roll again because my stats were just all over the place after that. So what I would suggest is obviously you want your Inferno to be 70 to 75 because that's where you're going to do your damage, and then everything else, it's kind of up to you. Honestly, your endurance and vitality are a priority because you want to be tankier and you want to wear heavier armor. You want to get more swings in. Honestly, I would put my endurance, if I could re-roll this, because I'm actually pretty pissed that this happened because now this character is not viable for like legit PvP. I would put my endurance around 40 and then my vitality obviously around 40 as well. So that's completely up to you guys what you want to do with that. Just make sure that your Inferno is 70 to 75 because you want the damage. And as far as like what I have socketed in the lamp, I am running the Umbral Eye of Loesch just because we are doing charge heavy attacks, and this helps us not get staggered out of our charge heavy attacks. You can run whatever you want here, but for this build, that is what I ran and got because I feel like that is what I wanted to do. So run whatever you want here, but I highly suggest this if you're going to play this build how I have it set up. And really quick, I just want to show you guys the difference between damages. So this is damage without the buffs going, as you can see right here. So 2-shot, you saw the damage. And of course, this will be the damage with the buffs on. A lot more damage. Still 2 shots though. Alright guys, pretty much sums it up. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and comment. It helps this channel out a lot and it helps me out a lot. In the future, I'm probably going to try to do an Umbral build and try to do something fun with it, so we'll see. Anyways, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the future. Later guys.